The bit where that man at the end said that he felt embarrassed is what got my attention. Letting people get help with dignity is a guiding principle for a lot of nonprofits in this area. Jack's Big Bite is where we focus on one particular story happening in our community, a community we believe in with our partners at First State Bank. Stop into one of their local branches or visit online at fsb4me.com to access all the helpful tools and services at First State Bank, built on belief and committed to doing right by our communities. For today's Big Bite, presented by First State Bank, we're talking about food. Specifically food insecurity and all the different factors that go into it and what's being done locally about it. It might all be more than you realize. First off, we're talking cost. A recent CNBC report about the cost of groceries in general is worth revisiting. You can see there, American grocery product purchases were essentially flat in the year 2025, and you can see that they have been largely down the first 6 months of this year. Analysts say that is coming from a variety of reasons. First, some people are simply buying less food at the grocery store because they're on GLP-1 weight loss drugs. We've talked about this before. Those users report spending 4% less in their first 6 months of being on the drug. But another factor we've seen for months now is the cost of food still high in a variety of categories. Yahoo Finance got into the meat and potatoes, if you will, of that with Bureau of Labor Statistics data earlier this year. And according to the Financial Industry Regulatory Authority, or FINRA, about 55% of Ohioans are living paycheck to paycheck. That puts people living in this state much closer to having to miss a meal than you would expect just because of money and needing to spend that on things like rent or utilities or gas versus food. SNAP benefits, or food stamps, have long been there to make sure that Americans get help buying food, particularly families. However, the One Big Beautiful Bill passed last year does cut some of those benefits and puts new requirements for people on SNAP. People on SNAP between the ages of 55 and 64, along with parents of older teen children, along with veterans, along with people with no home, and kids aging out of foster care, now all have work requirements in order to qualify for that government help with food. That law also makes refugees ineligible for SNAP assistance. Another angle that is driving up the cost of food is food waste. The U.S. EPA prepared the report estimating the cost of food waste to American consumers. That's the name of the report. It found the cost of food waste to each U.S. consumer to be $728 a year. And for a household of four, the annual cost is just under $3,000. Average cost, $56 a week. I've got one other chart for you to see from that report. This is right here. Check out this blue column that's almost over to the right. That is per capita food waste in pounds per year by food category there on the left. Number one is food with added sugar and sweeteners, 37 pounds. But the fresh vegetables is coming in second place with 31 pounds. Those are two wildly different categories, both seeing waste, and that waste is costing us money. In terms of fighting food insecurity, obviously there are a number of nonprofit organizations all across the country and here locally that are dedicated to feeding people. Hamilton County's Wasted Food Stops With Us program has the Freshness Squad, giving tips on how to keep a tight fade, popping your collar, wearing your school uniform jacket inside out, and not letting Carlton... Those are the wrong freshness tips. This is for things like food storage, keeping mushrooms in a breathable bag, and only washing produce like berries just before you're actually going to eat them. And of course, there are a number of corporate efforts as well to fight hunger. They often involve teaming up with a nonprofit or bringing a big local food company to start out with. We're going to go with this here from Kroger.
We believe everyone should have access to fresh, healthy food. But every community across America is affected by hunger, and so much of the food produced in America goes to waste. That's why the Kroger Company's Zero Hunger, Zero Waste Impact Plan focuses on supporting our local communities by rescuing food that might otherwise be thrown away, with 100% of our stores partnering with local food banks to donate surplus food. In fact, since 2017, we've donated 3 billion meals to food banks and hunger relief agencies, in part by rescuing nearly 600 million pounds of surplus food that would have gone to landfills. To date, our customers have donated over $50 million to the Kroger Company's Zero Hunger, Zero Waste Foundation, with every dollar raised going to support our community's food banks and hunger relief agencies. And you can help too by rounding up to the nearest dollar the next time you shop, because together we can make a difference.
Along with it being a program, Kroger also started the Zero Hunger, Zero Waste Foundation with the mission of supporting nonprofit groups, social entrepreneurs, and creative thinkers focused on improving food security and ending food waste. The foundation cares for communities one meal at a time and is guided by 3 pillars of collective action: catalyzing innovation and creating a more equitable food system. $7.4 million of total giving. That includes millions for improving charitable food and distribution both nationally and at the local level. You can also see money on that chart there for treating food as medicine, trying to bridge the gap between surplus food and hunger, connecting people with food that's already readily available. And that charitable giving is going to involve names that you've heard here in the Cincinnati area for a while now. Names like the Free Store Food Bank, arguably maybe the most recognizable distributor. There's also Last Mile Food Rescue, where volunteers literally rescue perfectly good food that would otherwise go to waste. St. Vincent de Paul operates more than a dozen parish-based food pantries in Hamilton County. I've had Executive Director of Be Concerned, the People's Pantry of Covington, Andy Brunsman, on the show in the past to talk about his group's mission in northern Kentucky, and there are many more helping. It's a big problem. When it comes to feeding hungry people, there is one other video that I wanted to show you that struck me. Here, take a look.
It's 90% of what I consume.
You've been here since last night.
Yeah.
It's that important to get what you need.
Yes. And I don't keep the car running. I can't afford the gas, so I have sleeping bags to stay warm.
I still feel bad that I have to come up here and sit on a line, to get food. It's embarrassing as hell.
So that bit right there at the end is what I wanted to focus in on. That's a report by KPAX from late last year, but the bit where that man at the end said that he felt embarrassed is what got my attention. Letting people get help with dignity is a guiding principle for a lot of nonprofits in this area, including Impacting Tomorrow out of Loveland. That's an organization that has created the first holistic community campus in the country, helping local people get things like food, for sure, and also find health care, education, and more. Co-founder Ken Tracy is my guest, and he's going to be in here next.